We're live.
Hey.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the Interstellar Book Club. So right now we are doing a Wayfarers series by Becky Chambers Readalong. So we read books 1 and books 2 today, which is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet and A Closed and Common Orbit. So yeah. Right now, we are on my channel. I think everyone knows me, hopefully, but I do a lot of book videos. And I will have all the hosts introduce themselves and tell me how their January reading is going so far. And yeah, I'll pass it to Steph.
Hi guys, my name is Steph from the channel Coffee Over Apples. Really quick about me, I read horror, sci-fi, fantasy, manga, and watch a lot of anime, book club stuff, drawing, cooking, all that good stuff. And January has been very polarizing because everything has either been a 5-star or a 1-star. I call that a good time. I'll pass it down to Jessa.
Okay. Hey guys, I'm Jessa. I'm from the channel Gabbin' with Jessa. I just kind of do a little bit of everything, book related, sometimes movies and TV shows here and there. I just like to talk about things. But my January reading has been a lot less than I was hoping for because I was kind of talking earlier. I was reading Barack Obama's new book, and that was a long one with a lot of information that took a lot out of me. So that was basically my January. But I'll give it to Max now.
Hey, I'm Max from the channel Max Reads. I do single book reviews, one at a time, and every genre you can possibly imagine. Not just new stuff, old stuff too. My January, my Goodreads says I am on track, so I'm happy with that. I've read 7 books so far. On number 8, so it's going well. It's going well, and they've all been like 3 or 4 stars so far.
Wow. I had such high hopes for January. I was like, I'm going to read so much this month because I'm on break, and that did not happen. But it's okay. I haven't even updated my Goodreads, but it's okay. So all of my hosts are linked down below. If you want to check them out, please do. But yes, and then yeah, we're gonna do non-spoilers for the first book and then non-spoilers for the second book before we get into spoilers for the first book and then spoilers for the second book. So yeah, for the first book, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, for a little synopsis, it's like a multi-species spacecraft crew, and they basically dig wormholes and tunnels into space, which is really, really dangerous. And yeah, there's like a found family trope, and it's just a lot of wholesomeness. And yeah, if anyone else has anything to add. No. Yeah. Thoughts on the first book then? Hi, Vicky.
With following on from your summary, I would say that because this is a reread for me, I forgot the plot entirely. Like, because there is like no plot for the first one. The plot is like this much of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The rest is like world build. So I feel like the plot is like really secondary.
Mm-hmm. Versus the second one, which I think has much more of a plot. Even though it also goes into a lot of world building, but the first one was like 90% world building.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Hi, Vicky.
Very, very good at world building. Yes, Vicky's here.
Which I think is really good when you're doing a sci-fi series, because especially like with this one, for example, there was a lot of different species and, you know, trying to learn about a lot of different things. So I really like how, because we knew this was going to be a series, that this first one focused so much on world building, so that way we could understand more and more of what goes on, not just in that book, but the second book as well, and probably the third and fourth book when we read them eventually. So
yeah. I'm not used to having so many point of views in a book, but it was so good. It was so well done, but I'm so not used to it. Ooh, let's see. Also,
right.
Wait, Max, did you love it as much as the first time you read it?
The first one, I feel like I dropped it down a star.
Okay.
And the second one, I feel like I bumped it up a star.
Oh,
The second one was so much better than I remember it being.
okay.
Oh,
I know.
how many stars did you all give it? Give each of them.
5 for the first
That's
one,
based on
4
five
for the
five.
second one.
4 for the second one.
Four for the second one.
I'm curious why.
What?
I think it would just took me personally a little bit longer to get into than I would have liked, but still, it's definitely between like 4 and 5. But I wish Goodreads allowed me to do, like 4.5. I think that's
me too.
Yeah.
it would have been more around there. So
I totally understand that because I feel like the second one was so different in the chapter structure than the first one. It also took me a little while, but when I was in it, it was like, what? Yeah, I'm here for this. Like, so good. If you don't know, I give everything 5 stars because I cried like a giant baby. So
I think I'm probably giving both of them 5 stars. There's like I can't pick a flaw in the book, so I can't. But yes, thank you. Bump the rating for the first. Oh,
ooh,
okay,
yeah.
both 5 stars though. And yes, I agree.
100%.
Half stars. We've been saying this for how long?
Yes, like if Goodreads can tell us at the end of a year that our average rating was 3.75, why can't you do that for every book?
Right.
Thank you for my TED Talk. Goodbye. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, do you want to give a spoiler-free summary of the second one?
Okay. So,
Because we're starting to talk about book 2 already.
yeah, it'll be a mix of both non-spoilers then. But book 2 is we are following Sidra. And it also has a found family trope. And yeah, we're just following a character named Sidra and how she is going through life and going through problems.
It also follows a couple side characters from the first book and kind of like deep dives into what their lives are like outside of what we saw in book 1.
I actually I was surprised that it was like a totally different timeline kind of thing. But I really like the 2 side characters they picked. So I was like, yes, I need more of them.
Yeah, there was a lot of, I think that was the part that kind of made me take a while to get into it, like Jessa said, was that the first book, everything was in chronological order, and the second book, each chapter was flipping back and forth between two different timelines. But it all just came together so seamlessly.
in the end, yes. Which is why I wish it was 4.5.
With the timeline of the first one, because if you actually look at the dates on each chapter, there are huge gaps between everything that's happening. It's a really long time period, the first one is. And because you get this whole, like, they encounter a problem and it's resolved very quickly, would it not lend itself so well to be a TV series?
Yes.
Like, it is so easy to translate that to TV. Because because it feels like she structured it in a really adaptable way.
Every episode could be one chapter.
Yeah.
If you adapted this for TV, my hot take is that it would be better than Firefly.
Ooh, that's saying a lot.
People are going to come for me now.
Wait, what did you say, Max? You froze for me.
Oh, I said if they adapted it for TV, it would be better than Firefly. 100%. 100%.
Oh, Frida says something in the comments.
Yes. Yes.
Definitely.
It was so well done.
Even the way it like jumped from chapter to chapter. So end on like a really hopeful note for Sidra. And then and then Pepper was completely alone in the world, and she's gonna die.
Mhm.
And like really big emotion jumps as well.
Mhm. Mhm. There was also a ton of relevant social commentary in both of the books.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Totally didn't see that coming. Would not have pegged this. Is this even in Goodreads as a contemporary?
No, I don't think it
I
is.
think so.
But it could be if you want it to be. Like, it might even depend on the reader if like that those topics are something that is relevant to the reader to be able to make those connections, because otherwise you can just enjoy it as a sci-fi, like without
Yeah.
that aspect to it. But
That's a really good point too. Like someone who might be scared to like read sci-fi because of the science aspect of it. If it was also classified as contemporary, that's a really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is also it would be a really good gateway book for anybody that previously has only read YA.
yes,
That's true.
yes, I agree. Especially because I feel like a lot of science fiction gets the automatic connection to dystopian or dark
Yeah.
fantasy and things like that, and this is like complete opposite.
Yeah.
I don't
This is
know.
hopeful sci-fi,
Oh,
comfy sci-fi.
Happy.
my heart.
What do you with you saying it's like a big social commentary thing in it? What would your main takeaway be from each book, as like a lesson or what it was commenting on? What would be your one? This is what I learned, or this is what it's trying to tell you. Do you get what I'm saying? I phrased that question really badly.
No, I don't think. I
No,
don't think
it's
it's like
very thought-provoking.
there's so many different subjects that are touched on. But I think overall we're kind of following through each book these characters who these experiences are new for. So maybe something along the lines of, keep your mind open, because unless you have these experiences or have these conversations directly with individuals who are affected by these events, make sure that you gather all your resources before coming to a decision on where you stand. And if that makes sense.
Good answer.
I can't make such coherent thoughts on the spot.
That was me during the vlog. I was
I
like,
can't make that. But Rita, everyone makes mistakes when making mistakes.
That's true.
doesn't make
That's
you
true.
unlovable.
Yeah.
That's
I
so
was gonna say that something like people are just people, even though they're like aliens, but like they're still people, and like everyone goes through different things. Like everyone's the same in that they have experiences and feelings and different opinions on the world and stuff. So people are just like people. Like you guys got to respect them as much as you can, but also learn from them too.
Yes.
I think my two main takeaways from it would be, don't make assumptions about people, I think is a big one, because you don't know what their life is like from an inside perspective. Even when it had down to like the big furry cute otter thing coming from a race that basically ended itself, violence, and then like the scaly cold one being the one that likes to cuddle all the time, and that's part of their culture. I feel like you can't make assumptions based on physically who somebody is a big part of it.
Yeah.
And then the other one I'd say is, don't use your own lifestyle and what is normal for you as a basis for what is normal.
For everyone else.
You know what I mean? Like your lifestyle and your sets of values are normal for you, but that's not like, there's no such thing as zero normal for everybody, because everyone's different.
We have some comments. Parenting looks different.
Yes, parenting is a big thing in both of the books, actually.
So true. So true.
Also, hi Preet. Hi Preet. Thanks for being here. And more, book 2, the road to figuring out what matters to you is not linear and might require a couple of steps back. That's so true.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's okay, even whether it be about parenting or anything else, it's okay to ask for help.
I really
Mhm.
liked, there was like a conversation at the end of the book about like purpose in life. And I was like,
Yeah, it's big on purpose. Big
Yeah.
on purpose. And book 2 as well, where it's like, oh wait, what was I gonna say? Totally forgotten. Oh, where it's talking about like how freedom doesn't mean the same thing for two different people.
yes.
And when you have freedom, what do you do with it? And that's a different journey. I feel like there were a lot of parallels between the two storylines in the second one.
Yes. Absolutely.
Oh,
Should
so
we
good.
get into spoilers for the first book?
Yes.
Okay,
For the-
so we
just
don't
for
want to
book
be
one.
spoiled.
Just for book 1 though, right?
Is it
Yes.
possible
Yes, just
to
for
talk
book
about
one.
book 1 without talking about book 2?
Yeah, but I don't think
think
it's
so.
possible to talk about 2 without talking about 1.
Yeah, you can't talk
Right.
about two without one. So
Okay.
just spoilers for the first book. Go.
Okay.
Anyone
I have a
any
question
strong
for everybody. A
opinions?
spoiler-based question.
Ooh, okay.
Would you have done what Corbin did? Would you have injected the dying guy to save him, even though he didn't want it?
I would like to say no and let the guy just like Ohan or whatever his name was,
Yeah.
and just let him like live his life the way he wants to live his life. But I also, especially if he's beneficial, you don't want anyone to die. You don't want anyone to be sick or anything like that. So like, I want to say I would let him make his own choices, and I feel like I'd be really good with that. But also like, I would be hating myself too, knowing that I could have done something, even though it's not what he wanted.
Considering that his choice was a religious one, in a sense, I don't feel like it was his place, even though the outcome was an ideal outcome. If it was to save the crew because he was essential to completing the mission or whatever the case was, then yeah, do what you got to do, because at the end of the day, it's for the greater good of the group. But personally, I wouldn't have done that because it just doesn't feel like my place.
Mm-hmm.
He was acting in like severe grief though, because he just lost somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think if I was in grief as well, I probably would have made that choice the same as him.
I feel
But,
like
I would know that it was the wrong thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like,
yeah.
I don't care.
I feel like it's easy to like talk about it, but once
Yeah.
you're actually in the situation, you're like, gosh darn
That's
Mhm.
true.
it.
Natalie says,
But I don't think I would have done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just give it off
At
to
least-
somebody else.
At least he's the one that everybody already hates.
Hate. Yeah.
but like, had they arrived at their destination and Ohan not have made it, like he had passed away prior to them getting there, would they have been able to find a replacement in order to return home?
I don't know.
I think that might, for at least me, be where the difference is like, if we're able to solve the solution while still respecting his decision, regardless of how I feel about it, then so be it, because there's another way to assist the larger group. I don't know. I guess it depends.
Mm-hmm.
Was it during the jump or was it after the jump?
It was, I think when Corbin did it?
Yeah.
After?
Because if it was during the jump, then he did it to save everybody's life.
I think it was after.
Yeah, I think they arrived already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Ohan, I think, passed out in the very last bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of like out of the grief and anger and everything.
They lost Lovelace already. They lost Lovely
Yeah,
already.
yeah,
and
yeah.
he was
That
like,
was who he was grieving.
we
Yeah.
can't lose another person. Yeah. But also,
Oh, I gotta read it.
Frida would think like Max acting out of grief. It's so hard to think about.
Yeah,
Like,
it is.
I think it was after.
So can we talk about the whole unpack in some way the whole AI rights relationship with thanks thing, because that sent me through this whole wormhole of emotions it's not ready for.
Okay, are we having book 2 spoilers now?
No.
I thought that we were still on book 1.
We're still on book 1.
Still on
Yeah,
book
okay.
1. Hold your roll, Max.
We'll get there. But just the relationship between the two of them in the first one took me a minute, because the whole pre-program thing, do they deserve rights thing, just sent me down this whole moral compass. I want to know how you guys felt during this.
I think it's hard to tell. With an AI, there would have to be, I think life is very easy to imitate. I don't know. I'd need some kind of proof that it was conscious and wasn't just like a chatbot. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like you could make a chatbot sufficiently sophisticated that it could trick you into thinking it was an AI. So I don't know. Because it wasn't even humans that invented it, was it?
That invented the AI? No, it was
AI. It was aliens.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So does that mean that anytime we would interact with an AI in a real life situation, what evidence could they provide us to prove that they are actually sentient?
I don't know. I just feel like I would instantly assume they were, but I would feel like, are these just pre-programmed responses? I feel like my mind would take me a while to trust that I was talking to something that was choosing.
Yeah.
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 I would be all for it. Like, if I got to a level where I was like, yes, I'm in a universe with 100% conscious AIs, I have no problem with them being in a relationship with anybody. I don't.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Hey.
It's just so weird to think that we could be close to something like that.
Yes. Discussions.
Like, so that kind of, yes, AI rights. Right?
But saying that, sorry, okay. But saying that, I have to mention something in the second one. That's not a spoiler. When a character is talking about Beetles and how that is a beetle is a pre-programmed set of responses. That's all a beetle is. So, like, who are we to say that one thing that is having an experience is not alive? It's difficult. These are tough questions.
It is. And that just goes back to what we were talking about earlier about not going into any situation assuming that you are aware of the other person's stance or experiences. So treat every AI like it's sentient until you have a reason.
Yeah, you like that.
Very good.
Stay there till they're done talking. Don't be rude.
But even that comes down to, like, prejudices people still have today. Treat people the way they ask to be treated unless they tell you they don't want to be treated like that. Like, you have to assume somebody's an AI because that's what they're pre-packaged as. So, it really makes you examine prejudice you didn't even know you had.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't even know I was prejudiced against AI until this book was so bad.
I feel like this book was so different from so many like other sci-fi books that portray AI as like evil, and
I was thinking the same thing.
But
because they're always like, robots are going to take over the world. Like, so it's nice to not have them take over the world.
Yeah. Interesting question. would falling in an AI be as if falling in love with a personality first and foremost?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's essentially what happened to Jenks.
But I don't see why Lovelace couldn't have done what Owl did and at least had a faceplate.
Wait,
wait,
repeat that?
say that again?
So for Lovelace, she was always a formless thing for Jenks.
Mm-hmm.
But like with Owl, there was always a face.
Mm-hmm.
And she could at least be inside a sim.
Mm-hmm.
Could Lovelace not have done that?
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
Why the choice not to? I wonder.
Wasn't there something in the second book when they were talking about Owl and about how that technology was no longer
It's like older technology. They don't really.
Yeah, but Jenks is a
Jenks
technician.
could have-
He's an engineer.
True, he should be aware of it.
Jenks would know it existed for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, Jenks would have known.
But at the same time, the core issue of the second book was finding a storage unit that was capable of housing that had the capacity to house this, or the hardware to house Owl. So would the sim program be enough for that if you think about the end results and how much of a large scale project that was? I don't know. Like, it wasn't that simple. I don't know. Oh no, but the comments are blowing up. I want to know.
But another thing from the chat.
Some ethical stances of personhood rely on trying.
That's true. That's very true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This book. It can't.
Does it matter is the question.
That ties into the whole with AI, with the mimetic housing of an AI being banned. And people will be like, an AI cannot be in a human-shaped body because then we wouldn't know if we were talking to an AI. But if you can't tell, who cares?
Right.
That's true. Somebody, Frida. Right? This part was so
Definitely.
sweet.
Yeah.
I feel like I would have been like Ashby. I wouldn't have thought about it until everything that happened with Lovey.
I just want to say I love Ashby so much. Growth is so good.
Ashby is a good leader.
Yes.
Yeah.
A really good leader. And he's one of those leaders that like leads from the front by example.
Okay. More comments.
The fact that he didn't just shut down when Corbin and Sissix were arguing all the time, he wouldn't just shut down Corbin. He'd be like, "You're being a dick, and you're being a dick. You need to sort it out."
And
He's the ship dad.
And he listened to all of his crew's concerns and voiced them even when they weren't present to be aware of him doing so. That's so good.
I'm loving this conversation in the chat though. But
It shouldn't. It shouldn't change it. But I think for a lot of people it would. Yeah, we're just complicated machines.
Brain is just a big computer.
We're just squishy computers, that's it.
Was it in this book or the one we read in December? I don't remember which one. When they had a conversation about humans, a nature versus nurture, and humans, how we are technically programmed by our actions and surrounding and those who raised us.
That was December.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was December. Yeah.
Still running. It's relevant.
That's not related. That's not related.
Too many books.
The fact that lingered with you though says something about the book though.
Yeah.
It really did. And that Becky Chambers is consistent. We love consistent.
Yeah.
She is. Does anyone
though.
have a favorite? If you had to pick one crew member to be your favorite, who would you pick?
Ashby.
Dr. Chef.
I think Kizzy it'll be Kizzy or the chef.
Definitely.
Kizzy.
Dr. Chef was so cute.
When he bought Rosemary, and she was like, "Let this be a secret. Don't tell her." I was like, "Oh my god."
his how nonchalant he was able to openly discuss and accept his race's downfallings, and was like, please take my story and learn from my experience to not repeat our mistakes. I was
like, all of their backgrounds were so sad.
They were so good. Can we talk about the second book? Because I have a favorite character from the second book too.
Okay. Second book spoilers, warning. If anybody needs to click away, I'll give you a few seconds.
And they're all gonna tie together. We'll probably like flip back.
We'll talk about first and second together.
We're not done here yet. We're not done here. We're coming back.
Okay. Second book.
Okay. For me, Owl. I love Owl. I would take a.
I feel like at this point, if there is a sentient robot, we all know who Max's favorite is.
Right.
I love that for you.
Oh my gosh.
I love Tack, but Blue too. Like
Blue. I love Blue. He wasn't actually in the book that much, but throughout the whole book, I was just waiting for them to meet in the past. I was just waiting for it to happen.
And Tack was so patient and understanding and like the best friend anyone could ever ask for.
Tack was very quick to examine his own prejudice, her own prejudice. Like, they were instantly like, I need to think about this, and I need to think if I'm being a dickhead. Well, I think that's healthy, though.
Yes. The open, honest conversation about being okay with your differences, but still being to maintain a relationship while accepting that. It's just, I love it.
It kind of reminded me, like with Rosemary and Sis and like the relationship in the second book, like, I don't know, just it kind of reminded me about how there's more multi-racial, multicultural relationships now because, you know, before it wasn't like accepted or anything, and how people like to incorporate, you know, like, I don't know, it just makes me think of like Nick Jonas and Priyanka Chopra, how they had like their two weddings because he's, you know, white American and she's from India, she's an Indian. And so they had like their two separate weddings, but were able to incorporate aspects of both their religions and their culture and their heritage. So that's what I took away a lot from both of these books, was just how, these are aliens and they have like scales and things. They're not like humans, but it just reminded me a lot about how there's a lot of intercultural things going on now and how people can accept that when before, even today, there's some people who don't want you to marry outside your race or outside your religion. And I don't know, that's what's my big takeaways from these books, was just how it can connect, how aliens from different species can still connect and have relationships, just like people from different worlds or cultures or anything can connect as well.
There were a couple of species that I wish we saw more of in it. Like, I wish we saw more of the Quailin.
Who knows? Maybe we'll get them in.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And the Laru as well. We saw a Laru like one time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of other races, can we talk about the moment that I realized that this whole book is not even in English?
Yeah. Oh my god.
Is the Discord like, wait, are they speaking another language this whole time and we're just technically getting a translated version? That is so cool. Like hearing Clip in that one scene from the second book, when Jane is trying to learn it, I was like, hold the phone. What is happening? That was
Clip sounded very
anything.
Do you know what that looked like? That looked like a luchador.
You can disregard Deadpool.
Imagine how scary that would be if you lived alone.
Okay. Oh God, no. Anyway, the only reason that just happened is because my husband swears that he's not going to show his face until I hit 1,000 subscribers. He's sticking by it. Anyway, what was the question?
Yeah, what was the question?
It's gone. It's gone. Who knows?
It doesn't matter anymore.
Oh my gosh. But like, yeah, it was the amount of research that I feel like Becky Chambers did in this series is incredible. Could not find any flaws with it.
Mm-hmm.
No way.
No. Who is my everything?
We're gonna have a conversation about Ambi now.
Oh my gosh, Matt! I could not follow your conversation about Ambi.
And algae as well.
We were just trying to figure out, how do these ships run? How do they function? Like, is the algae for the life support system, or is it actually something that their engines run on?
No, it's definitely something our engines run on.
Which is what it sounds like. But then what kind of engine is it?
I think it's biofuel or biogas. It must be.
That would make sense.
But I feel like that far in the future, we would have found a way to move around without using oil.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I'm like,
But who knows? Maybe we'll get an answer for that in book 4 too.
I hope so. It might even be in book 3 and I've just forgotten.
Oh.
Who knows?
Wait, I know that for all of us, this was our first time reading it, right? Except for Max. So Max, when did you first read these?
2017. 2016.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Looks like rereading it, like fresh.
Yeah.
Yay. Oh my goodness. Okay. What was everyone's like one moment in either of the books where you just kind of dropped everything and just went like,
Where you had a breakdown.
a breakdown moment?
For me in book 1 was where Lovey woke up without her memory.
Mm.
I was like shaking.
I was so sad. Yeah.
One of the parts that stuck out for me was also in book 1. I think this is when I really started to like get more of like the social commentary and relating it to everything, was when their ship, I think it was like if the first third got taken over, and Rosemary was the one who could translate, because she's still, the newbie on board, and she's the one saving them because she's translating everything. And so I thought that was really cool, showing how just because you're fresh and you're new doesn't mean that you can't step up to the plate or anything like that. But I also liked how the people who, it's just missing my mind, like who they were exactly, were taking over their ship. I thought it was really interesting that they're like, look, we're not trying to take everything from you. We just need what we need to keep going, and we'll leave you with what you need. And so I thought that was a really, I don't know, that just stuck with me a lot, because it shows that, hey, bad guys aren't necessarily bad guys. Like, yeah, they're not doing the most, what we consider ethical of things to go about their day. They're just trying to survive like the rest of us. So they're not going to like take something away from you just because you have too much of it. They'll just take what they need and leave you with the rest. So
on the back of that, I think a lot of when I was reading other people's reviews of this, one criticism that a lot of people seem to have is that there's no conflict in the books. But what they actually mean is there's no violent conflict. Like Becky Chambers, even in the second book, when all this horrible stuff is happening to Pepper when she's Jane as a kid,
Yeah.
Becky Chambers still refuses to paint a bad guy. There is never a bad guy. There is just bad things that people do.
Mm.
In life, no one is actually born positive or negative. Everyone is shaped by their environmental surroundings.
Exactly.
So even individuals who we understand have committed some of the most heinous acts throughout history, they didn't just come out into the world that way. Something happened to them in order to mold them into that path. And I feel like that's something that Becky Chambers explores really well. And back to the situation that Jessa was describing, because Rosemary had the knowledge prior to the situation, she was able to, one, empathize, but two, kind of calm the waters and bring everyone to a point where they're like they're understanding that the bigger picture here is that something is amiss. So how can we rectify that situation? But also the crew themselves were very understanding that, the world or interplanetary space is a very dangerous, hostile place. So why not give when you can? It's like, so wholesome.
Yeah, I didn't mind that there was like no conflict, violent, evil person, but it was. For Steph's question, though, I think the scene that stuck with me was Ohan when he told them, when Ashby asked him what he wanted to do, and he was like, "I want to have dinner with my crew." I was like, I can't. I had to stop. It was just too good.
I mean, the scene, if they were going to talk, I would say a high stakes scene from the first book was the whole bomb situation.
Yeah.
That was, in a way, I'd say really close to conflict. I mean, except for the very end where we get that whole attack from, I forgot which.
Tyranny, I think.
Yeah. But that's pretty close if someone's looking for that level of action. It's present.
I cried when Owl was in the sim.
In the set.
And she hugged Jane.
I cried at that too. and Jane was like, "I'm touching her, but this is as close as we're gonna get. But it's satisfactory enough for me."
The fact that she was like, the fact that Jane was like, the fact that Owl wants to put a hand on my shoulder is enough. Ugh. So good. Oh.
So good. I don't like.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's so much of that on Goodreads. People are just so salty about it. I don't get it.
Everyone just wants like a Thanos to like, this is the bad guy. This is clearly like who we're fighting against kind of thing. Like people just want that. And like, I'm not going to lie, sometimes I like that too. I know who I'm like, okay, I'm rooting against this person because they are bad. So.
Yeah, but you don't need it all the time.
Yeah, we don't need it all the time.
And this proves that you don't need it all the time.
Yeah.
And there's points to be made about that. Was Thanos technically a bad guy?
No, he wasn't. He was just
really a bad guy.
He thought he was a good guy.
He
did.
He thought he was a good guy. So that brings the question, like, what is good and what is evil? But do we need to always be rooting for someone in books in order to have a successful story?
Right.
No way. Yeah.
Becky Chambers showed us no. We do not.
She Batman slapped us.
Yes. Every step of this book, I was like, but this, and she was like, you fool.
I'm stressed that like after she's finished this 4 series, how long are we gonna have to wait for something else? I'm stressed that book 4 isn't gonna live up to the 3 first ones.
I don't think so.
We know. Didn't somebody in our Discord?
Bertie's read them already. Bertie's read number 4.
Yeah.
right. Birdie got an arc.
And I think she said it was good.
I hope so. Birdie, if you're here, let us know.
I'm so jealous.
One thing I really loved about this series was how it was not really like, because I feel like a lot of sci-fi, it's human-centered. It's like us going out into space and finding other like communities and stuff. But in this book, it was aliens like finding humans and saving us. And I was like,
with the sci-fi that is really human-centric, it's almost reminiscent of like 17th century sailing stories where we go to another continent and find savages and stuff like that.
yeah.
Having a human-centered book can come across as really pretentious sometimes, I think. But like even like Avatar, like that kind of thing, it's Pocahontas in space, and it's like, but it's kind of racist.
Hot take of the day. I did not like Avatar. I'm so
Me
sorry.
neither. It's like the number one highest, or was, for the longest time, highest grossing movie of all time. And maybe because I didn't see it in 3D, I just saw it at home with like my family, and I'm like, okay, this was fun.
Oh, not Airbender, by the way. We're not talking about that.
No, yeah.
Yeah,
About the
that's
blue
good.
guy.
That's
Blue
good.
people.
Okay.
believe
Yeah,
you.
I was like,
No,
not the cartoon though.
Isn't it crazy, by the way, that Zoe Saldana is in the 3 highest grossing movies of all time?
Yes, what a queen.
Is that true?
She's in Avatar, Endgame, and Infinity War, which are the top 3 movies.
Oh.
Oh,
What a power move.
yes, I love that for her.
Also, the 4th one was good.
Oh,
Okay.
And Becky Chambers
Yes.
has another book coming out this year?
what?
Question mark?
Not part of this?
Oh, I
What
thought you were
book?
telling us.
Wait, what? Also, I saw on Goodreads that she wrote 2 other books that are outside of this.
Did she?
Has anyone read those? Oh, yeah. Natalie just said it in the comments.
The song for the boat.
Or maybe that's one of the ones that I saw. It didn't come out yet.
Later in the year, okay.
Oh, this
no,
one is
that's
coming
out
out.
this year, yeah.
Ooh.
She has 2 books coming
Ooh.
out? That's crazy.
I know
That that's listed on her Wikipedia as a novella. So if it's short enough, we could do 2 again. I'm just saying.
Yes.
In July for the US thing.
Okay.
It's about AI. Woohoo.
Oh, I'm so excited. So Becky
Oh.
Chambers is for me now an instant buy author. I don't know if you guys
Yeah,
feel the same way.
definitely.
I don't
100%.
have any instant buy authors yet, so probably.
I'm so excited. Oh my
Do you
God.
know that the first book in the series was funded on GoFundMe?
Yes, I saw that
Wait,
too.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She quit her job, and she was like, "I'm taking a huge risk. I want to write this book." And she basically put out a GoFundMe, and it was like a huge risk that totally paid off.
Good for her.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. Oh my god.
So we nearly didn't have this.
Mhm.
What would we have done?
The world would have missed out on so much greatness.
Right? There's so
good.
many things to think about in this book. Wait, do any of you have tattoos?
Mm-mm.
No, I
No.
won't. But I'm too indecisive.
I booked one, but like then COVID,
Oh.
so I'm waiting to get mine.
Wait, have you decided what it's going to be?
Yeah, I know what mine's gonna be. Yeah.
It's a secret.
No, it's a hand pushing a finger through the palm of another hand
Ooh.
coming out the side. It's like a
Like the thumb joke?
no, it's a lucid dreaming thing.
Oh,
So like if you train yourself enough, you can go like that in your dream, and if your finger comes out the other side, you're asleep, and then you know it's a dream, and you can twist that.
interesting.
That's
I've heard of that.
Yeah, my 2 main hobbies are reading and sleep.
I like that.
I thought you were when I thought you were doing the thumb joke. I was like, are you secretly?
Oh,
can't do that. How do you?
It's magic. It's magic, Melody. Sorry.
No, it's not. No, stop it. Wait, Steph, since you love the series so much, are you gonna make some bookmarks?
Yes,
Okay.
it's coming. I was actually thinking the other day about how I can because there's a lot of people who said they were interested in my bookmarks, so I wasn't sure if I should do like a Patreon thing and then sign up. I'll send them like either through Redbubble or like a digital download of my illustrations, like the bookmarks for like printable versions. I don't know.
That's a good idea.
That's so cool. Yeah.
About it.
Yeah. I wish I had marketable skills.
Quality book reviewing is a skill.
That is true.
I feel like there's more things I wanted to talk to you guys about.
Right, I wrote things down, but mine's
sure I've got notes
all
as well.
over the place.
Do you ever group read or review Golden Age science fiction? For example, I'm looking at the. I want to.
I do. I review it on my channel. Yeah. Follow me for classic sci-fi reviews.
Yeah, he's done a
It's
whole
linked
lot.
down below in the description box.
Yes.
Yeah, check out Max.
But I definitely want to read a whole bunch with you guys when we get a chance, because I know we've done a lot of contemporary reads or new releases.
Yeah.
So whenever you guys are ready, or if it gets picked out of a hat again.
Mhm.
I don't know if I trust that
Are
anymore.
we doing that again? Yeah.
I will say though, with old sci-fi, there is much more bad old sci-fi than there is bad new sci-fi.
Mm.
Like there is a lot of stuff that sucks, so you kind of have to weed through it,
Fair enough.
and you have to like bear in mind as well when it was written, and you have to excuse it a lot. You know what I mean? Like a lot of it is very, very chauvinistic, if not outright sexist, and you get a lot of like casual throwaway racism and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it's worth like bearing in your mind, like, oh, at least the story's good, at least the story's progressive. But sometimes it's like, I can't look past it.
Mhm.
I can't forgive it, you know.
Yeah.
But some's good. There's some good stuff out there. It's not all bad though.
It would still make for really good discussion.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah,
I
definitely.
feel like we have so many books we want to read.
We do. Also, I'm curious on that note about how we're reflecting on these books that were written so long ago. If 50 years from now or so, if we're going to look back at these that we're discussing about now and say, our opinions of this have changed or something.
Probably. But I think it mainly is going to be the fact that a lot of authors now are trying to tackle stuff like gender identity, trans rights, stuff like that. And so far, we might look back on it and being like, they were trying to tackle it, but it was kind of clumsy.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? I feel like there will be more graceful ways to tell that kind of story.
Mm-hmm.
Or in a way, kind of like that, like we'll look back and be like, oh, they tried to incorporate it, but you can definitely tell it's just for the token.
Yeah.
Like POC or the token, like
Yeah.
gay character or something. And probably later on, it'll just feel more natural. Just being like, oh, yeah, this is just how things are and life is. So we might look back and be like, ooh, they definitely just threw that in there so they could get their diversity card. So
Yeah.
I did actually just finish one that tackles that really, really well. So if you want to read a good one, read that one.
Oh, you were talking about that in the Discord.
It's really good. Like in terms of like the way it talks about sexuality and gender and stuff is really cool.
And thank you, Natalie. I see your comment.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll make it happen somehow.
yes.
We'll make it happen.
They're going to be highly collectible one day.
Right. Honestly. But one really like small detail in the book that just made my heart warm was when Sidra first got to Port Corio, and then she was looking at everything, and all the signs had like multiple languages. I was like, I want that now. Like, can we get that now today, please?
Yes, seriously. Oh, speaking of which, speaking of diversity and acceptance and all that stuff, how interesting I found it that in Jane's chapters, when she was able to get a larger understanding of what was happening on Earth, how these clones were being mistreated, and how the Earth was like a large portion of it was junk.
Was that Earth?
I thought it was Earth. Because she said something, what did she say? She said something about the galactic, was it the Gaius? Or there was some mention of one of those groups from the first book that were about rebuilding Earth. I thought they were mentioned in the second book or to some capacity. I was like, oh, okay, this must be Earth.
No, I think I thought how I read it was like they were Gaius that like really loved Earth, and they went on to Jane's planet to like convert them, basically. To like, that was how I saw it.
Oh, so maybe it wasn't Earth.
I didn't think it was
I
Earth.
didn't think it was Earth.
No.
Oh. So then what would Gaius be doing trying to convince other species to move to Earth if the whole point of Gaiism?
Maybe the whole point is hypocrisy.
Huh.
Aww.
What was your original point, though? What was your original point?
Oh, my original point was going to be how it took so long for humans to become accepted within the Galactic Council, and so are we even deserving of that spot, considering how we're still treating our own home planet? But it might not be. Who knows?
Yeah, but still, the argument still applies because we're treating our own species like crap.
Mm-hmm.
But you can still say the same thing. Gaians, but not necessarily Terrans.
Ah, that's true.
So many different places. But this one was a comment from a while ago. I haven't watched it, but if anybody else has.
It had a similar vibe to it. Definitely.
Well, now we have a challenge for Max to make a video giving all of these characters casted members from the TV show.
Yes!
When you read a book, do you like celebrity cast it in your head?
No.
Sometimes, if I really like it.
Yeah, I'm like directing the movie as I'm reading.
I do, but I don't stick with it because I don't want to be disappointed later on if they actually do make the movie and they don't cast who I want to be.
Especially because, there could be up-and-coming people that we don't even know about yet, so.
True.
There is one section I want to talk about, but I'm going to disappear for a second because I need to find it. So.
Okay.
Pastel writer,
I don't think it said whether the other people were.
I can't remember, yeah.
No. I think the main point there was the mistreatment rather than the people mistreating.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same, like we were saying earlier, it's Chambers refusing to give us a bad guy.
Oh, while Steph is looking for the scene, next month we are going to be reading the third book, which is Record of a Spaceborne Few, and we have our live show scheduled for February 28th at 3 p.m. on Steph's channel. Yes, just gonna put that in there really quick.
Ooh,
I'm on the page. I just need to find it. Hold on. Gonna find it.
Oh, is it like a quote?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was this. It's okay. It's the section where they're talking about how to get Corbin to legally stay with them on the ship after finding out that he is a clone, and so because he is not a registered citizen, he does not have rights. Oh my gosh, I was so triggered. So triggered by this section because she so well explains the process, the difficult process of at least what I've witnessed as a Hispanic person living in the US, of the challenge of getting the correct documentation to even begin to file the paperwork necessary to be considered for the most basic rights. So there's a whole section where they're talking about formality and how they need to find someone to vouch for him and basically become their affidavit. So if for anyone who doesn't know, when you apply for citizenship in the when you even apply for a green card, before you even get citizenship, part of the process is you have to get an affidavit. So an affidavit essentially says that the individual who is sponsoring you is going to be your financial keeper for however many years it takes until you get your citizenship, and that usually that document is for up to 10 years. So whether that be you're in the hospital, whether that be you can't work, that person is going to assume financial responsibilities for you. And she touches on this really, really well. And it's one of those things that I think a lot of people are unaware of unless you've actually bared witness to the process. And I feel like for me, that was the moment where I was like, favorite series ever. We're done. Oh.
That's a big statement, saying that it's your favorite series ever.
Yeah, you know what? It is.
Considering you've only read 2.
Was it half of the series so far?
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because, I mean, The Dark Tower was one of my favorite series. Is one of my favorite series of all time. However, there's books within The Dark Tower that I think are not as strong as others. That being said, if the next 2 are not 5 stars, I'm okay with that.
I have high hopes. I think the next 2 will be good. Really good.
Fingers crossed.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's an example of ways in which Becky Chambers talks about contemporary issues without being direct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like our first pick did that really well too. I don't remember the name.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
With the tackling contemporary issues as well, it's tying back into what we were saying earlier about there not being a bad guy. She does it in a very non-accusatory way, where you realize this system is bad and we cannot use this system anymore. So, yeah. She's clearly really smart.
Oh yeah.
Like you can tell that
Yeah.
she's really clever.
Because one little like science thing that I found, it was when she was talking about the tattoos. I'm really invested in the tattoos. She was talking about the tattoos, and it was like, yeah, the ink has to go all the way down to the dermis. And I was like, I literally just learned that in anatomy class like 1 day ago. I was like, I love you, Becky Chambers.
How cool would that be? Oh my gosh. Okay, if you guys can get a moving tattoo, what would it be? And Max, would the thumb now be going in and out of that?
That probably would look a bit inappropriate. We'll go without that for now.
What would you guys get?
Oh, that's so hard.
I don't know.
I know what I'd get.
I don't know, tattoos freak me out in general. It's just like the sound, like gives me like chills, like all up and down. So I could never do it just because I hear that sound. So I've never even thought about getting. Well, I kind of have, but like not seriously, because then I hear that sound and I freak out. So I have to really think about what I need to like endure that sound so it could move.
I get that.
Get some earplugs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I
I
don't
think
know.
I would get.
Like,
Imagine,
I kind of
right?
want a tattoo, but I'm like allergic to. My skin is allergic to a lot of things. I'm like, will I be allergic to the ink? But I can't even decide on a real tattoo. Now I have to think of a moving tattoo.
Max, I think what'd you say?
So imagine, picture this, if you will. Imagine like a tattoo that's like blowing autumn leaves, like just tumbling leaves. That would be really cool.
Ooh,
Like,
Ooh, And a tree that shifts through the season.
That's cool.
That's cool
I would
too.
like that.
I like that. That's really cool.
Or I get like a winking face like that. Like a little devil head, and he's like,
Imagine you had it on your shoulder and you were wearing like a tank
nah,
top.
that's going straight on my bum.
Fantastic. I don't know what I'd probably get like Bob Ross painting something.
Oh, that's a really good one. That's a cool one.
Just saying like happy little trees, it's your happy little world. I'm like, yeah. Whenever I need affirmation, I can just look down at my leg like
No mistakes, just happy accidents.
yeah. Oh god. That was so cool. And the scene, again I cried, where Blue was talking to Sidra and painting her, and they had this whole Dorian Gray moment, and he was having conversation with her about how artists are kind of like the eyes of the world, and pushing her to see herself through another lens in which she wasn't capable of doing. So good. I love him so much.
I want to see how Becky Chambers' mind works.
Mhm.
Like, it's
She's
so...
gonna have like 5 computers, spread out. Like one with like, immigration research, another with like space and bio and stuff like that, and then another like writing it and stuff.
Especially like if I was writing a book for AIs, I wouldn't even like think about how they might see like the body that they're in as like they wouldn't call it their own body, they would call it a kit. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yes, it feels like almost every sentence in these books, at least for me anyway, was so well thought out. Like not a single sentence was wasted space. And I think I was reading something after this, and there was this whole descriptive paragraph of something that wasn't directly related to one of the larger subjects, and I was like, what a waste of space.
I think a lot of people had a problem with the message board sections.
what? I like the message board section. Those were one of
Especially in the second book when I forget which character it was talking to the chat room asking for help for the on one of the like illegal chat rooms, and they kicked her out. They were like,
in the first book, the actual like news things sometimes was a little hard to get through for me, like the super long ones. But in the second book, I really liked the illegal chat room.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when she was looking for Owl. I was like, oh god, I was like, now I know something bad will happen from the past, and I'm
Right.
not ready for it.
The moment that the owl was in the story, I was like, oh no, where is Owl now? Like, where is Owl in the present? I was like instantly stressed. I was like, what's going to happen to Owl?
Wait, how long did it take you guys to make the connection that Jane was Pepper?
Oh, first chapter. Straight away.
Oh, sorry. I got it like halfway through the book.
Didn't she say that her name was Jane, like in the first chapter?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Went right over my head. You guys are such good detectives. Remind me not to play Clue with you. I would lose it. I feel like Becky Chambers is like if BookTube, the channel, you know how they do those interview with authors between booktubers and authors.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If they ever needed anybody, just say in BookTube, we're here. Happy to do it. Love to have a conversation with her.
And then we can ask the algae.
She would have an answer though. She would have an answer. 100%.
She would. And I feel like our minds would be like so blown and unable to process it.
Are there any other like specific moments we want to talk about or gush about or challenge questions?
I'm so happy she opened the cafe or like the bar or whatever.
Mhm.
And she had all the pets that were actually her, I think. But wait, I'm confused though. So the pet that Blue and Pepper got her, was it the cat or was it a different animal?
It was something that is from the planet of the Harmagians.
Ah, okay.
It's not. They just said it was like a cute furry thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a cat.
Yeah, no, it was some other species.
Mhm.
Oh, I want a pet bot. But that's my last thought.
And then we can all make little knit hats for the pet moms. That part got me too.
That part, I was like, this is the cutest. This is why Kizzy stole my heart.
Kizzy.
I think Kizzy, sadly, was my least favorite crew member.
Really?
Who was my favorite member?
Oh, that's a good question. Does everyone have a least favorite character?
I hate any of them. Like Corbin he's annoying, but
Corbin's like annoying, but then when he tells
like
you,
he throws at
it's like, I get it.
Mhm.
yeah. You're like, I wasn't expecting him to be a clone either. I was like, oh
Mhm.
no.
Yeah.
But-
Krita's like, what? No way.
What? Max also yes, but no.
I think it's because like Kizzy was really, really a nice, lovable character, but for me, because so much of the book was dialogue, Kizzy's dialogue to me felt kind of cheesy,
Mhm.
and I think
I can
that's
see where you're
the
coming
thing
from.
I couldn't get past. But I liked the character, but like I just liked her the least.
This literally hurts my heart so much. But to me, that's true. I was thinking in terms of the main character.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. I didn't think about those kinds of side characters either.
When we got their point of view, I was like, oh my gosh, something bad is going to happen. But no, Kizzy. I feel like if Kizzy was a real character, I'd be like, give me a hug.
Yeah, I'd want to be friends with Kizzy.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, my least favorite characters it's a tie between Ohan and Jenks.
Okay.
And I can't say why.
I can understand why.
Can you? Okay, because I can't.
Yeah.
I think
I feel like I saw Ohan the least.
And maybe it would be Ohan, because I feel like Jenks, I could sympathize with his plight and his situation. Ohan, I just wanted to shake them.
yeah.
Jenks, like, I liked him because of how sad I felt for him in the end. I was like, oh no, he made me feel emotion. So that's
Mhm.
I hope we see the other characters again at some point.
Mhm.
Like even if it's just a reference to them, I hope they come back.
right. I really hope so. And
Being that you've read book 3, are you low key saying that we don't see them in book 3?
I'm not telling you. I can't tell you anything about book 3.
have you read the synopsis for book 3?
I've read it before.
No, I mean.
Oh,
yeah.
Steph.
Oh,
yeah.
me? No, I haven't.
Okay.
Should I read it
I don't know for the live show.
this?
I won't.
Should I read it for the sake of those watching now, if they're interested in going forward?
Oh, then it'll be a first time read. We can get like the true reaction.
Yeah.
Oh, scared. Okay, so it says, Hundreds of years ago, the last humans left Earth. After centuries wandering empty space, humanity was welcomed mostly by the species that govern the Milky Way, and their generational journey came to an end. But this is old history. Today, the Exodus fleet is a living relic, a place many are from, but few outsiders have seen. When a disaster rocks this already fragile community, those Exodans who have not yet left for alien cities struggle to find their way in an uncertain future. Among them are a mother, a young apprentice, an alien academic, a caretaker for the dead, a man searching for a place to belong, and an archivist who ensures no one's story is forgotten. Each has their own voice, but all seek answers to inescapable questions. What remain among the stars? Oh no, why remain among the stars when there are habitable worlds within reach? And what is the purpose of a ship that has reached its destination?
I think the Goodreads tells you more too. The Goodreads synopsis of it tells
Originally,
you what is gonna
when
be.
I read all three, number 3 was my favorite.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
But I don't know now.
It's like
Oh,
but yeah.
we're not following that. Oh no. Yes. Oh, has anyone read the synopsis for book 4? I haven't.
Nope.
I don't want to
I haven't.
spoil it until I read
Right,
it.
let's save it for next month. I'm so excited. Not
Yeah, Becky Chambers loves archivists.
love it.
Any last thoughts?
Just for the next ones.
We can end the live show here, guys. But yes, our Discord is linked down below. We have a lot of fun chat rooms and stuff if anybody wants to chat with us. And we're not dust. And yeah, our live show is on February 28th for the 3rd book, Record of a Spaceborne Few, and we'll see you then. And we'll probably have some sprints throughout the month. We'll see. But yeah.
Yes. I always need reading sprints.
Yeah.
Yay. Bye, you guys. Thanks for joining us.